Hey guys, welcome to the Balls Deep Podcast, Episode 2. I'm going to try to put out a video every day, so I hope you guys keep liking the videos, keep watching them, and let's get a bigger following. First off, I want to point out that I do have a lot of defensive players on this list, especially at the top, and I'd like to group all three of them together in Ed Oliver, Rashawn Gary, and Nick Bosa. They are all very good defensive linemen who can rush the passer from multiple positions on the line. Just diving into them a little bit individually, Ed Oliver's a guy who you may not have heard of, but he does have extreme talent. Now, he doesn't play the type of competition that Gary or Bosa do because he plays at a smaller D1 school like Houston. Probably the worst thing for him was that Tom Herman left after just a few seasons with Houston, and that really hurt him because Houston was on the uptick, but he played awesomely despite that. So let's hope he can still carry that defense, and let's hope he gets picked high in the draft, bringing some notoriety to an underachieving Houston team. Next up is Rashawn Gary, who plays for famed defensive coordinator Don Brown at the University of Michigan. And the thing about Gary is he can rush from multiple positions, being it a defensive end or a defensive tackle position. I like him more as a defensive end. He's one of those guys who you can just plug on either tackle and expect him to make pressure. One thing that shows how important he was is Michigan went 8-5 this past season, and in their wins, their defense never allowed more than 20 points. Gary was a big reason for this, terrorizing backfields all over the place. Now, Nick Bosa is a bit of a different story, to where he didn't have as big of an impact on the team because he was switching in and out with other defensive ends, because Ohio State has an incredible amount of talent along their defensive front. But expect him to get more snaps this upcoming season, with both Sam Hubbard and Tyquan Lewis going the way of the draft. Nick Bosa is expected to start over sophomore Chase Young, and Nick Bosa, like his brother Joey, will expect to be a high pick in the NFL because he shows a great motor, but one thing I'd like to see more of him is him playing a little bit faster. He kind of lumbers to the ball, and I would love to see his get-off just a hair quicker. Next up is Drew Lock out of Missouri. He plays quarterback, and he's a lot like recent draft pick Josh Allen, who's a big, strong-arm guy, but isn't very accurate. Lock only completed 57% of his passes this past season, and that is concerning. But he does have the potential to make any type of throw, and he can throw it through a concrete wall. I would just hope Lock can get his accuracy under control, and if so, he can push Oliver for that number 1 spot, because every team jumps up for a quarterback. Next up is offensive lineman David Edwards out of Wisconsin. Do I really need to say more about an offensive lineman out of Wisconsin? Come on, guys. You remember the guy who just retired named Joe Thomas? The greatest offensive lineman ever. 10,000 plus consecutive snaps. Well, Edwards is that same type of player. He's one of those guys who you can leave him one-on-one with a tough defensive end, and you know he's going to win. He's a big body guy and as 6'7", 315 pounds, but he moves like a ballerina. This dude doesn't have a problem with speed rushers, power rushers. He can really take it all down. I just love to see more tape from him, and hopefully he can open up some holes for new running back Jonathan Franklin, who is entering his sophomore season with Wisconsin. Next up is Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon, and like Drew Lock, he is highly touted with a lot of potential, but he is actually more accurate, working with an Oregon offense who does have a lot of pieces around him on the offensive side of the ball. They were run first, but he did show that he can lead a team. I'd love to see him with a team like Jacksonville, who has pieces, has a great team, but could use an upgrade at the quarterback position. Shea Patterson is another quarterback to look at. He is with Michigan now, but last season he did play for Ole Miss, and that's saying something because he is eligible to play this year after transferring from D1 to D1 schools. That happened because he actually had an appeal with the NCAA after Hugh Freeze was caught giving improper benefits to other Ole Miss players. So let's hope he can show that he wasn't part of that, and he can lead Michigan to a better season than they had last year. Next up is another Michigan player, Devin Bush, who is a great linebacker, but he is a bit undersized, which could hurt his draft stock at only 5'11". But he is a guy I would like to compare to just a hair slower than Tyrann Mathieu, a great player who can fly to the ball and be a force tackling and give you help in pass coverage as well. Again, just another piece that Don Brown has to work with his Michigan defense this year. Hopefully, they can lead Michigan to a better season and make that Ohio State game a little bit more competitive. Ohio State is so much better. Sorry, I had just a little cough there. Next up is Andrees Williams, a quarterback out of LSU. And again, the pedigree here is great as it was with the Wisconsin offensive lineman. Great cornerbacks come out of LSU. Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, Tre'Davious White as of late. Williams is one and the same. He picked off 6 passes last year, and he was a lockdown corner. Expect him to do more of the same. Hopefully he can lead that LSU defense and improve his draft stock. I'd love to see more of him actually tackling harder, but as Deion Sanders says, you got to make business decisions. He definitely did that, picking off 6 passes. I'd love to see more of that. And finally, Trey Adams out of Washington. This dude is a big tackle. He's definitely a better run blocker than he is pass blocker. That's something he can improve upon. But like Edwards, he will be a starting tackle in the NFL when he does choose to go to the NFL draft. He's a big guy who does have room to improve, but can definitely lock down other defensive ends. I hope you guys like this. Give me some improvement. And if you like this video, like and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. Balls deep.